Welcome at a new episode of the Market Reporters. Every week we look back at the stock markets, what happened in the economy, and so to help you more about help you more with your investments.
Just one thing, we're not drinking a beer yet. I'm going to talk a little bit about Heineken. That was one of the first large European companies that came with the Q2 figures.
Yeah, they're still closed.
They're still closed.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So indeed, everything is about the Q2 figures and the half-year figures, but it are Q2 figures because Q1 is already announced. So,
yeah, we know what happened there.
Yeah. Half-year figures are normally Q2 figures.
Correct.
Before that, some macroeconomic data to begin with from China. They announced that they had a growth of 3.2% in the last month, instead of the previous month a year before, but the retail sales dropped with 1.8%, and that's always a good signal about how the retail is doing. And you saw that directly on the stock market they went down. And also to stay in Asia, Hong Kong, Trump announced after a couple of weeks, I think after the new law that China pushed through in Hong Kong, he announced that from now on the US will treat Hong Kong in the same way as other countries. So the special status is gone, so that's really for the companies over there and also for the people, that's really not a good thing. So that's all in between the tension between China and the US. And also to stay with the US, Trump announced that he is seriously looking at the possibilities to ban TikTok from the US. We spoke about it last week, but it's a big chance that within now and a couple of weeks, and it's one of the biggest platforms, that will be, I think that will have more impact than the cuts that the trade cuts that he took for Hong Kong.
It's quite something if you think about it, because it never really happened before.
No.
In the Western society, that social media has a ban, or and of course in China you hear these things, but I think for that area it's pretty, for the US or Europe.
And also because they have a lot of users, and how will the users respond?
Yeah. Well, there's not much they can do, but
no, okay, but how will they respond against Trump, against the administration?
Yeah.
I think that's his thing, why he didn't do it yet, because he knows that it's not good for his
votes.
Yeah.
We saw this morning, we saw a poll how bad he's running at the moment.
Yeah. It's not quite going well. So he has to do something, and that's of course internally in the US not really a popular decision to make. Okay. ASML, the Dutch chip producer, they came out with figures, really nice figures over Q2, 29% more turnover and 57% more profit. You see that we spoke about it, I think 2 weeks ago, about the new IPO in China of a chip producer, because China wants to produce the chips in their own country and be less dependent from chip producers outside of China. But still, you see it's not affecting ASML. Great company. Heineken, we're going to talk about it later. Netflix, they announced that they had over the first half of this year 26 million new users, 25% more revenues. They announced it on Thursday after the market, when the US market closed. But in the aftermarket hours, but also during the day on Friday, the share price dropped with 9%. And that's not because of the figures of Q2 of the half year, it's about the outlook, because they said they expect not that amount of growth in the second part of 2020.
Yeah.
And they also said something about the productions. They think that they can still deliver enough content, films and series for this year, but they will face some problems next year to 2021.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley came also with really good figures, 45% more profits. So also a lot of positive signs from companies.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we look then at the beverage side, so Heineken came with figures this week. They were not as good. I always have to laugh a little bit, because people think it's summer and people will start drinking more, and Heineken, well, it doesn't really matter. It's also not because people are staying at home that they drank more beer. In general, Heineken had a 16.4% lower turnover.
But did you drink more during the quarantine or less?
More wine. Yeah, I drank more wine.
Okay.
Yeah, better wine, but
so
I did drink
less beer.
Less beer. Yeah.
Okay, so did you see that?
That might be the reason. Yeah. So they had 16.4% less turnover. Heineken at the moment has a price approximately between 82 euros. The highest point over the last 12 months was 105 euros. The lowest point, obviously, around the Corona dip was 22.3% below the current price, which was at 68. The net profit of Heineken was 75% lower than the same period last year in comparison. And what is important, however, they had a positive outlook in that sense. They have a strong balance sheet, and also the credit lines that have been established or that have been made available, they haven't had the need to use them. If you then look at other companies, so what is funny is that the price earning, and I should explain to you, of all the three larger European well-known breweries is about 26. So Heineken has a price earning of 26. InBev, Anheuser-Busch InBev has a price earning of 26, and also Carlsberg, our Danish beer brewery, has a price earning of 26. If you then look at the size of the brewery companies, how large are they? They see the largest one obviously is Anheuser-Busch, 175 billion market capitalization, Heineken 63, and Carlsberg 18. If we look at the figures of InBev, they will come with figures. The 30th of July is interesting, I think, to have a look at. Are there opportunities in this market? Well, I'm moving myself a little bit on slippery ice, but because we're never allowed to say that. But if we do a search on fundamental basis, so we look at companies, breweries with a market cap between 1 and 100 billion, you see there's one Japanese brewery which is called Asahi Breweries, I have to pronounce it well, and they're also one of the largest sponsors for the, and it's actually under discussion whether they are going to sponsor the Olympics, because the Olympics are in Tokyo. Yeah. They're known in Europe for Peroni and Urquell, which is the German beer brand. And also another interesting company to maybe have a look at, not only look at those, is Suntory Brewery, market capitalization of 1.3 billion, and they're known for others, Orangina, the French Sinas or Fanta, and Schweppes. So that about the breweries. Yeah, interesting large companies, we all know them.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I want to talk about the stock Adyen. It's a Dutch PSP, payment service provider. It was in the news last week, not with the figures yet, but some interesting news. So I started from the news because it was in one of the famous Dutch newspapers, so a lot of clients contacted us with it.
The Dutch clients, yeah.
So what they do, the online payments, they arrange everything for it.
PSP, no?
PSP, yeah, payment service provider. In the past, it was always the banks that did on the background, all the payments. But since like 10 years, you have PSP, and worldwide, the PSP do most of the payments. So if you pay something online with your credit cards, or you are in a bar and you pay online with an app, then there's normally a PSP that handles your transaction. And why was it in the news? Because they, in the city center of Amsterdam, they are working on a new headquarters, and it's really in the center. It's close to the Dam Square, if you know Amsterdam, and it's a new office. It's the headquarters for 17,000 square meters, and in the southern part of Amsterdam there are all the banks, all the headquarters of the banks. So they made a statement to go to the city center. And also Klarna, that's a Swedish PSP. The headquarters is in Stockholm, but they have also quite a big office in Amsterdam. It's also in the city center. And you have MultiSafePay, it's also a big player. They are also in Amsterdam, but more in the northern part of the city. And why are they going to the city center? Because they don't say that out loud, but I think that they want a little bit, move away from the banks. But their official statement is they say, okay, we want to be in the center where the heart of the city is. We have a lot of young people
young
work with us.
employees,
They come by bike or by public transport, and so they want to go after work. We want to do some
some
nice
social
things.
life,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
But it was a big article, what I said, and so we dove a little bit more into the stock. They came on the Dutch stock market 2 years ago, 2 years and 1 month ago.
Yeah.
And the IPO, through an IPO, and the price was then 240 euros. At this moment, it's trading at 14, so 1,400 euros.
Yeah.
1 year ago it was 680 euros. Also last year it doubled, more than doubled the share price. If we look, we follow 25 analysts on this individual stock, and they have an average target price, and the target price always for 1 year, of 1148, 1150 euros. So that's less than the 1400 euros.
That
now.
shows the fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the average, that's the consensus. But you have also other analysts, individual analysts, for example, Wallet Investor, they think that it can grow to more than 2,000 euros in 1 year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fantasy in it, and you see that also in the price earnings. You talked about the price earnings of Heineken, but if you look at the price earnings of Adyen in 2021, so next year, they expect a profit per share of 30 euros. And with a price of the share of 1400 makes it a price earnings of more than 107.
So it's 4 times more expensive than Heineken from an investor perspective, fundamentally.
Yeah. So it's quite an expensive share, but you have to investors look at the outlook, and the 30 euro is already more than the expected price earnings of 850 of this year, and 2022 they expect 1872, so that's a growth of 50%. So there's a lot of fantasy in it, but on the other hand, it's a growing company. In 2019 they had a turnover of almost 500 million and a net profit of 204. And most of the clients are big clients, so the strategy was to start with really large international clients. Uber is a client, for example, and they developed together this kind of system and this kind of payment system, and now they said we did so much work for that, we're going to offer it more to the mid-size sector. So there's a lot of fantasy in it, but what they also saw during the quarantine period is that online payments made a big jump, and also within the offline industry, so in restaurants. I think you all, when you had a dinner in the last 2 months in a restaurant, mostly at the corner of the table there's a QR code, you can scan it, and then you can look at the menu, and in some cases you could order also, and in some cases you can also pay directly. Now then that not only that payment, but the whole infrastructure, that's what those companies, does, not only Adyen, but also Molly and Multisafe Pay, that's what they do. It's a growing world, and but what you see, the market expects a lot, so hopefully the expectations will come true, and then it will keep on growing also in the share price. So interesting to follow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to wait a little bit.
We put it back in the fridge and we open it in 2 hours.
At 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Have a great week. Bye bye.